Shalom, family. Welcome back to another part of Unplugging from Eurocentric Lifestyle. That is our subject because that's what we need to. That's what I feel people need to hear. Needs to be on their mind. Even if it's not from a spiritual standpoint, but that's the mindset that we need to start having. We need to stop thinking that this European lifestyle is normal, because it's really not. I'll give you one of the most I'll give you one of the most classic, I'm gonna say, examples, right? It's so funny. To me, it's hilarious. It is absolutely hilarious. You could go, because even from the founders of America, the United States, the founding fathers, even these fools came over here using the metric system. Like, I don't even know. I really want to know who sold the ideal of the American standard system to these metric using people. I want to know who sold them that ideal. Who sold this? Who sold the buffoonery? Because it's straight buffoonery. Everywhere else in the world you go to, they use the metric system in everything. In weight, in distance. We over here using inches, yards, feet. How many of y'all have 12-inch feet? I don't. My feet are not 12 inches long. I don't wear 12s. Anyway, not that it necessarily coincides. Shoemakers don't even make, like, whatever. I'm not even gonna go there. We're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there. That's why you can go get a shoe size by two different manufacturers. That's why you can wear two different shoe sizes or more, depending on the manufacturer of your shoe. Because there's no standard. The standard is not the metric system in the United States. But everywhere else, the metric system is the standard. Everywhere else. We're over here at like 5% of the world's population, if that, probably less than that, using unique systems of measuring that nobody else uses. Talk about backwards. Talk about backwards. That is America. America is backwards. Everything about this place is backwards. But everything about this place is based off of the Europeans. the policies, everyday life, based off of them. And you know what it's a specific group of them that influence the rest of them when it comes down to it in a lot of these policies. But you have to dig through their history to figure it out, because it's pretty much been hidden. Just like our history has been hidden, they have a group of people whose history is hidden because those people have intermingled with the rest of the European nations that were there. And then they assimilated the rest of the Europeans. Not the rest. They assimilated a significant amount of those Europeans from other nations into their own nation. And their own nation disappeared from history. They weren't wiped out, they just disappeared. No one apparently claims to know what happened to them, except for some people nowadays. But for the most part, they disappeared historically. And that is because they assumed the identity of people that they are not. Forget the past tense. Some of them have assumed the identity of people that they are not, and the rest of them don't claim their former identity because their ancestors relocated. So that's in a sense is kind of what a lot of y'all are doing. FBAs, whatever, whoever you are, whatever melanated person you are claiming to be any kind of American, you are assuming the identity of a people that you are not. Like, I know you want to have an identity, you want to know that you came from somewhere, but do the research and act for yourself. And I say for yourself because you can't just automatically assume that just because this one person looks like you, that they're from the same place you are, that their family comes from the same lineage that you do. You can't do that without knowing your own heritage. Now there are identifiers for the people. There are identifiers for Hebrews. I'm gonna tell you that there are identifiers for Hebrews, and they're written down in the history book that your ancestors wrote, called the Bible. They are identifiers that will be on you forever, as it says literally in there. They will be on you. And so if you find those identifiers in your family lineage, then you don't need to go any further unless you just don't believe it. And I can't make you believe that. I'm not going to. That's up to you if you want to believe it. That is your free will. That's really, like, when people talk about free will, that's truly what free will is. Believing or not believing lies or truths. because believing or not believing will affect everything else that you take action in. So how do we unplug mentally? One way to start is learning a language that's not English. And at the same time, I recommend studying English. Not in the sense of how it was studied in school, because in school it's an indoctrination. They want you to read certain books so you can have an American way of thinking. But they don't want you to read certain parts of American history so you don't consider how these have influenced the American. So you don't understand how certain events have influenced American ways of thinking and American policies that you are subjected to today. Yeah. Or where some of these policies, pre-American history policies, came from too. That's another thing. Other things to consider. So, read. Do a lot of reading. Like, there's a lot of information that you can watch, do video, but if you don't take the time to read that information too, rather than just sitting and, you just sit around and watch it all, you could believe anything. Legitimately, you could be believing in anything, and people can sound super convincing. I'm sure I can sound very convincing about some things, but just because I'm saying it doesn't mean it is accurate. And that's why, I keep, when I'm referring to a lot of things, I tell you to go read it yourself. Go read it yourself. Seriously, go read it yourself. Don't sit here and just because I'm saying it, be like, oh, well, it must be. No. Hell no to the no. Like, don't do it. Don't do it. You ever watch Reading Rainbow? Well, don't take my word for it, because you don't have to. Take a look. It's in a book. You know the song. Read more. I don't care how old you are. Read some books. Especially if you're retired, you got all the time in the world to read. You got time. Listen to audiobooks. That's how convenient, I guess you could say, reading is nowadays. You can listen to something. You might not be able to necessarily follow along with it all the time, but listen to it. Listen to the book. And if there's a lot of them that are set up that they tell you when they're going to the next page of that book. So you can read and listen all at the same time. Or if you want to go back and visually look at the words yourself, you can go back and look at the words. You just, you make your notes, page such and such, write it down, save it for later, go back, read it. That's what I would do. Especially if it's something you're trying to remember. But yeah, that's another way we can unplug, by doing more reading, doing more research. Research is key to unplugging. There is a passage in our history. It says, "My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge." Whoever said ignorance is bliss is a fool. Whoever coined that was a fool. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance destroys us. And I'm going to end on this note, and we'll come back in the next part. Hope to see you again, fam. Peace.